feel ready?
Let's hop in like a jacuzzi.
Had such a good time with big, sexy love advice that we are going to continue, but we're going to go to a different part of the Reddit world. Last time it was all about intimate partnerships, relationship advice for those folks that are bumping uglies or at least would like to.
I don't think it makes you an asshole to have that conversation. I guess it depends on how you work. If you come up and be like, hey, look, I love you, but your husband's a dickwad.
Oh, wow.
Then
that escalated very quickly.
Well, but then you'd be an asshole for saying something like that.
I don't know why are we arguing about that?
I don't know, because we disagree.
If there's something you want to add, go ahead and add it.
No, I pretty much said my piece. I know where I'm at on that, and we just land on different sides of that equation.
We do.
I'm glad we got something we finally can disagree a little bit on, because it seems like we always agreeing on everything.
Is that what it seems like to you?
Nope.
I didn't have
Artlist.io.
Hello.
And welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the
Love Podcast.
My name is Nilla. I am a relationship coach and marriage and family therapist. I travel the world helping people learn the skills they need to have happy and healthy relationships. And I also hit my microphone apparently.
And I'm Big Sexy, her loving husband and co-host, here to provide advice this time around.
Levity and advice. I'm going to do the levity.
Levity and advice.
Y'all ain't getting a whole lot of levity today. Or maybe you will.
Advicity.
Levitus. So y'all, here's the real. We had such a good time with big, sexy love advice that we are going to continue, but we're going to go to a different part of the Reddit world. Last time it was all about intimate partnerships, relationship advice for those folks that are bumping uglies or at least would like to.
We also had family members in there as well.
We did. We're going to have more.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to a different part of Reddit. If y'all are not familiar, there is a wonderful section of Reddit called AITA. And I tell you what, y'all, it is a roller coaster ride. I fell down a rabbit hole just reading a lot of this stuff. I am excited to see what Big is going to say. Big, do you have any opening words for the advice you're about to share about these questions that you have not read and know nothing about?
Yes. Basically, if you're asking the question, most times the answer is yes, indeed you are.
Interesting. I will be interested to see your answers.
I say most, not all, because I have heard these type of questions and the person is not in the wrong. They are not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Well, we are about to find out, because these are some very intricate and detailed scenarios that we're going to jump into.
All right.
Do you feel ready?
Let's hop in like a jacuzzi.
Do you have any preference? Well, you don't really know what we're going to be asking.
Right. Okay. I prefer a question.
You prefer a question. Okay. I'm looking through. I've chosen a couple. I don't want them to be super easy. I want you to have a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
So I don't want to be too
Bring it on, man.
There's one I was thinking about. It says, I'm a 32-year-old male and I'm about to leave my fiance, 32 female of 8 years, 2 of which were engaged. That's too detailed. That's too deep.
Yeah, it's always funny when you hit those kind of things, like the headline doesn't ponder the question that the subreddit is asking. Mm-hmm. Like whatever that is, that's in the details.
All right, here's one. It doesn't have an awful lot of responses, so this will be interesting. It's kind of longish. I haven't read it. Let's see.
Okay.
The title is intriguing. And it's not, am I the asshole? It's, would I be the asshole? So they are contemplating assholery.
Okay. This is possible assholery.
WIBTA. Here it is. I, over 40 female, have this friend. I call her Steph, of nearly 20 years. She and I get along well, and I consider her one of my closest friends. Here's the issue. Neither my husband nor I like her husband.
Ooh.
At all. That's emphasized. At all. We find him completely insufferable. We actively avoid outings as a couple with him because of this. We have not done anything as a couple in over 10 years because of this.
Ooh.
He is super arrogant, thinks he knows everything, and you can't have a conversation with him because he always has this oversimplified response to things that make it seem like you are an idiot for even having such a trivial conversation in his presence.
Ugh.
Everything is trivial in his opinion unless he deems it not trivial.
So far, he's the asshole.
I've met this person, and you know what? Definitely, at least if either there is one asshole or there are multiple assholes, but there's at least one asshole.
There's at least one asshole so far.
Okay, there's more. Our kids are getting older and more independent, so she has been asking to do more couples outings with us, especially when there is a new popular trend, like food truck festivals, music festivals, bourbon bars, etc. This sounds like a fun place, wherever y'all are at.
Yeah.
I wish I would just say where you were coming from, because that sounds
like they might be in Vegas.
Sounds really fun. Lately, she has been lamenting that no one invites her anywhere. That's sad. And she is feeling isolated. She and I get together often, and I know she hangs out with her other female friends. But I know it is also not the same as having couple friends. That's true. And I suspect everyone else finds him insufferable like we do. She will always tell us to call them when we do X, and they will join us. We have to invite them because our husband to be invited.
Sorry.
Sick of the question?
No. No. Accidental button push.
Got it. We don't want the pleasure of his company. We don't let them know when we go out and do things that they are also interested in doing. She will find out and hint very strongly that they would have loved to join us. Sometimes she will directly ask me why we didn't invite them, and I'm running out of excuses. Here's your question. Mm-hmm. Big Sexy.
Yes.
Would I be the asshole if I finally told her we don't like her husband? I do not want to lose her as a friend, but I dislike her husband so much that I can't bring myself to hang out with him.
No, you would not be the asshole. Matter of fact, you're a bit of an asshole because you haven't said it already.
You think?
Yes.
Okay.
I know it's a tough conversation to have, but if you're friends, then that's a conversation you want to have. Once you know it, once you recognize it, you pull your friend aside and say, hey, look, I love hanging out with you. You're adorable. We just have issues with your husband. It's hard to hang out with him. It's just not fun to hang out with him. You don't know. She might be down to go separately, but you got to at least have that conversation. And I don't think it makes you an asshole to have that conversation. I guess it depends on how you word it. If you come up and be like, hey, look, I love you, but your husband's a dickwad and he's a horrible person and he smells of stank sewage.
Oh, wow.
Then
that escalated very quickly.
Well, but then you'll be an asshole for saying something like that. Okay. But if you just have the conversation like, hey, we'd love to invite you out. We just have a hard time hanging out with your husband and then you just lay out the reasons you laid out to us.
Okay.
And you do run the risk of that, being a separation of sorts, right? If that person feels slighted or hurt or whatever, that you don't accept their spouse, then that they may not be happy about that, but at least they know. Because I think guessing what's wrong with them is harder than knowing. Because she might be thinking it's something to do with her.
I mean, it kind of is something to do with her. But listen, here's the thing. And I hear your advice. And in a vacuum, in a perfect world, I would say, absolutely, you should sit down and have that conversation. I can tell you, though, I have been in that situation. I have been married to the asshole in that situation where people did not want to spend time with us. They wanted to spend time with me. I found out after the relationship ended where people were like, oh, I really wanted to spend time with you, but I really hated your spouse. Got that.
Right.
I have also hated the spouse of a friend of mine. Just could not stand this person. And every time I encountered this person, it was just nasty, negative, whatever. I gotta tell you what, I just stopped hanging out with that person. I just stopped hanging out with that person.
Right.
And the reason I stopped hanging out with that person without telling them, number one, I think that if you're going to have that conversation, you should have a conversation with the expectation that that friendship is not going to continue.
Right.
I would not continue a friendship with someone, even if my spouse were an asshole, which fortunately my spouse is not an asshole. But if my spouse were an asshole, I would not break off, right? I would not allow anybody to talk badly about my partner, just as a general rule, right? Generally, if you don't like something about my partner, or if my partner did something to you, if there's a specific situation that we can address, great. This is not a specific situation we can address. This is something that is global to the person, which means that the person that I love most is repulsive to you. That to me is a deal breaker. And if I were the friend, I would consider that to be the deal breaker. I either would deal with the uncomfortableness of saying, right, we just gonna kind of dodge around, because eventually people get the idea. And it's a bit passive aggressive, but that's not bad.
Yes, yeah, I think being passive aggressive is the wrong move.
I don't think,
you and I would disagree on this one. Go ahead, continue.
Let me finish my thought. I think that passive aggression as a general view of and way of engaging with the world is probably not a good idea. That doesn't mean that there are never times when passive aggressive behavior isn't the right behavior. And I think in this instance, to be assertive in this instance is to instantly end the friendship. And the thing that I think this person makes really clear is that they do not want to end the friendship. If they don't want to end the friendship, don't have the conversation. Don't have a conversation. This is just my idea.
See, I think the lack of inviting to things and the continual, hey, we're still doing fun stuff, but we're not inviting you to that fun stuff, and leaving that person to wonder why we'll still end the friendship.
If she asked me, I will tell you.
She did ask. This person did ask.
The friend didn't.
Yes, they did. And she said, I can't keep coming up with excuses.
She keeps coming up with excuses as to why, but her friend didn't say.
Which means she's lying.
Why won't you invite her?
It's exactly like what but she's lying. Every time she does it to her friend.
I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And again, I started this idea. I don't know why are we arguing about this?
I don't know, because we disagree.
I started this idea with what did I even start it with?
I have no idea.
I know, but you keep talking over me. Anyway, stop arguing about this. Let's go to the next question.
So no, you would not be the asshole
if
you had that conversation.
In answer to the specific question, you would not be the asshole. In answer to how you would handle that particular situation, I don't know. I guess I just have a different understanding of how friendships work,
right,
or how that friendship would work. And in my experience, it did not do me any good. I still have a connection with the other person.
Would if anybody?
I still had a conversation with a connection with the other person, but it is not as close. And their partner is still part of the equation. And I think they have an inkling I don't like their partner, but whatever.
On the flip side, if somebody who you were friends with came to you and they said they didn't like your ex, how would you handle that?
Well, I did handle that. Tons of people came up to me.
I mean, during the relationship.
During the relationship, I think most people took the advice of that I'm giving, which is they did not tell me that, and the folks that did tell me that were no longer part of my life.
Okay, that's the part I was getting to. Is what happened? Did anybody say anything in the moment, and what was your reaction?
My reaction always was to choose my partner. Always. Yeah, it was to choose my partner. So again, and I'm just talking about from my own personal experience.
Right.
When folks came to me, and they did before and after, because there was no question mark about my ex. Am I the asshole? Yes, you are. Right. Which this person's not listening, so nobody's like getting their feelings hurt.
Right.
But this person really was a terrible, awful person, and people knew that they were an awful person. I had some idea that they were an awful person. I didn't recognize how awful they were as a person. And when anyone would try to point out how awful they were, I'll give you an example. I had some very good friends. I was living in Thailand at the time with this ex. I had some very good friends who worked for the UN, and I suddenly got an email from one of these friends that said, I saw your partner, and your partner was doing X, Y, and Z, and he was over here. And when he saw me, he asked me to lie for him. He asked me to tell you blah, 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 blah. And you know what I did? It didn't make no sense. I was mad at them. Right?
For telling you what happened.
I was mad at them for telling me. I was mad at them for, I don't even know why. I mean, again, this was 25 years ago, right? So this was some time ago. But my response was, yes, I was mad at my partner, but I was also mad, and maybe even more mad, at the person that told me. Because, I don't know, you suddenly dropping something into my lap, and I wasn't ready for it. Now, listen, that person, I am grateful to them today. Absolutely grateful to them today. But I never spoke to them again. I never spoke to them again. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just human nature. Let's go on to another question.
Okay.
Unless there's I don't want to cut you off, though. If there's something you want to add, go ahead and add it.
No, I pretty much said my piece. I know where I'm at on that, and we just land on different sides of that equation.
We do. Listeners, what side of the equation do you land on? Colorful humans, if you have had an asshole partner, if you have been an asshole partner, what advice would you give to this friend about what to share about their asshole spouse?
Yeah. Would you tell the friend, or would you not?
Yeah.
Or would you just keep ghosting them?
Well, they're not ghosting them. They're just not inviting them as often. Anyway, this is the long one that I'm gonna skip over.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see if we can find you a shorter one. That was interesting. I really am.
Yeah, that was deep.
Yeah, quite surprised.
I'm glad we got something we finally can disagree a little bit on, because seems like we always agreeing on everything.
Is that what it seems like to you?
Nope.
I was about to say, like, nope. Are we talking? Oh,
that was sarcasm.
Now this is interesting. Okay, here we go. This is about in-laws.
Okay.
And it's specifically about
I'm familiar with those. I have some of those.
It's specifically about Mother's Day. So at the time that this will drop, Mother's Day will just have passed. So let's take a look at what this Redditor has to say. I have had major issues with the in-laws over the last several years. My husband is a 31-year-old male, and I am a 29-year-old female. Because of their nastiness, and to preserve our marriage, I set a firm boundary 6 months ago with my significant other that in-laws cannot be invited to our home without at least talking with me first. That seems reasonable.
Right.
That I need at least a week's notice, and that the boundary is in writing in a note on his phone. Also, I would not tell him no if he asked. It's just that I can mentally and emotionally prepare for being around these unkind people. I want to be able to consent to it. In the last 6 months, my significant other has invited them to our home twice. Each time it was a special celebration for me without my consent.
Oh.
First, I graduated from my master's program.
Congratulations.
An accomplishment that wasn't easy as a mother of two, and I took a lot of pride in. His parents have been unsupportive the whole time, always insinuating that I am neglecting my kids for pursuing an education, that I don't support my husband's career because I want my own. So obviously I did not want my in-laws there. He invited them anyway to my graduation without bothering to ask me. This upset me. I reminded him of the boundary, and he said he was sorry and just forgot. They came. I was polite, and I was glad they didn't take away from the day. Then, just 2 weeks later, he did it again.
Oh, and within 2 weeks after being told? Ooh.
Today, there was a Mother's Day celebration at my daughter's school. Again, he invited them without asking me. I have no problem with him doing his own thing with his mom for Mother's Day. Again, he feigned ignorance that he sincerely forgot and didn't realize. I reminded him of what he did at graduation, and he said that he forgot about that too, even though we'd had a long talk about it just 3 weeks ago. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
I do.
Ooh, that gets juicy. I told him that if they showed up, I would tell them to leave since I didn't consent and he didn't ask. He panicked, and luckily they didn't show. I don't know if I can keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. I can't trust him when he says he just forgot. I don't believe him anymore. I feel like my request for, hey, just ask me first is reasonable. But by him doing this, I feel like he doesn't even care about me. We have a happy marriage in every other way, but being forced to be around his verbally and emotionally abusive family, cannot do it anymore. I feel like he's inviting them purposely to my special events just to hurt me. Am I the asshole?
So, okay, I love these questions because the initial is either yes or no. That makes it easy. And then we have to dive into the deeper reason why, right? So, no, you're not the asshole for setting boundaries. You're not an asshole for setting boundaries. Matter of fact, he's the asshole for breaking them repeatedly. I will say I doubt that he's doing it specifically to hurt you. It doesn't seem malicious. It just seems like he doesn't care about your boundaries because he'd rather spend time with his parents than pay attention to whether or not you want them there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't make you the asshole. It doesn't make you the asshole to have the boundary. Not at all. Not even remotely. If they're, things don't get along and things don't work out, you set boundaries, and those boundaries need to be recognized and accepted. And he accepted those boundaries. Y'all didn't, have a big old debate about. Well, again, I don't know if he had a debate or not, but it doesn't seem like he denied you your boundaries. He just keeps breaking it, and so that's an issue. The continued breaking of your boundaries is an issue.
Yeah, I agree with the breaking of the boundary. I would get really curious though, because it's a structure that I find it happens a lot more frequently than I think people recognize. And that's the idea. Like sometimes I'll ask folks in either therapy or coaching, well, if you really don't want to do something, what do you do? How do you get out of it? Now, most people don't just say, I tell the person I don't want to do it. Right? Again, if it were that straightforward, it would be a really easy transaction, right? I'm telling you my boundary, you respect my boundary. What you'll find most people will say is, I'll just say, yes, I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it. What happens if somebody really wants you to do the dishes and you don't want to do the dishes? What will you do? A lot of people, more than I think 50%, will say, I'll just tell me I'll do the dishes and then I won't.
Yep. See last episode.
Yeah. And I think this is the situation that this person is finding themselves in, right? It's not just that this person is breaking a boundary, right? And again, it's not malicious,
right,
but it does mean that this person, I think, is being put in a position that they are desperately trying to get out of. And that's the position between my intimate partner and my parents. And like the bond that I have between these two when they are polar opposites,
right?
It's really, I think, difficult to just say that this is the one way that this should be handled. I mean, obviously, when I'm working with my partner, I want to make sure that my partner is respecting my boundaries and hearing what I'm saying. I also have to check in because it's not that my boundary is the end all be all. It's a partnership.
Right.
It's a partnership. My question, right, and this would just be because I have no idea what's going on with this person. I would want to get really curious about not how this person forgets or why they forget. I mean, obviously, this person did not forget. They didn't forget. It's written down. You could have written it in a big old banner as they walk through the door, and they would find some way to not recognize that because something is holding that in place.
Yeah. I'll give you
the parental bond.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt of forgetting about the graduation, the first incident.
Okay.
Right. Because that's a big celebration. And when you think celebration, you think I want everybody involved to celebrate.
It sounded like the only surprise guest was the.
Well, it sounded like a surprise. It sounded like that he was surprising her with a surprise party, but invited them, and she was not happy with that particular surprise.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that. I got that they had planned this graduation, that she'd been very specific that she didn't want them at the graduation, and that he maybe I need to go back and read it.
Yeah. But for the granddaughter's event that just happened 2 weeks later, that's, if he said he forgot, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That he didn't forget. He just didn't want to pay attention to your boundaries. It's not like he went, because if he did forget, that means he's not thinking about you. Right. So like, that's not a win-win situation. I mean, if he said, if he said I forgot and he really did forget, why would you forget that when we clearly had an issue about it and we stated it and going on, and she's not saying that she wants zero to do with them.
Right.
She's like, give me advance notice. Let me know.
Yeah, I don't think she's being unreasonable.
Not at all.
I would just get very curious when I see that kind of behavior in adults.
Right.
I would just get very, very curious, because just addressing the behavior, there's something driving that behavior.
Right.
And it's something that's not just on the surface. That's just my thought.
Right.
Yeah. I would want to get super, super curious as to what is going on with that adult.
Yeah. So if you are asking, are you the asshole because you have set boundaries with your spouses, or you not just set boundaries, but you are upset at your spouse for breaking the boundaries you guys have agreed upon, the answer is no. You are not the asshole. You are not the asshole.
Okay.
That's very, very, very
well, this will be
Maury Povich. It
was Maury Povich. It was somebody dancing. You are not the asshole. I told you I'm not the asshole. Let's do something maybe a little more generic. You ready?
Okay.
I haven't read this one. Let's see if it'll pop up. We're just waiting for it to load.
Doopy. That's right. I edit all this stuff out.
Waiting for that internet.
So this all be gone.
Internet. Hey, that internet. The song's gonna be gone. Waiting for that internet. Okay, here we go. This seems so silly, but it became such a big deal. I have to ask.
Okay.
I love these.
All right. It was silly, but now it's a big deal. Something got blown out of the water. Ask away.
Last weekend, my girlfriend's family hosted a barbecue. I was always raised to never show up anywhere empty-handed. So I asked my girlfriend's mom what I could bring. She asked that I grab the Cool Whip for a dessert she was making. Easy enough. I figured it won't be hard to find, so I decided to wait until the morning of to grab it on my way there. Well, I get to the store about 20 minutes before the barbecue starts, and they're somehow out of the name brand.
Uh-oh.
They did, however, have the store brand's whip topping, and I didn't have time to go to another grocery store. I just bought the generic brand and headed off. Upon arrival, I hand the bag to my girlfriend's mom. She opens it, looks inside, and gets a weird look on her face. She asks where the Cool Whip is. I say the store was out, but this is pretty much the same thing, right? She looks a little irritated with me, but just tells me to make myself at home. As I'm putting my stuff down, I hear her asking her husband to run to the store and grab the Cool Whip. I can't hear the entire conversation, but he must have asked, didn't I bring it? Because then I hear her say, I asked for one thing, and he couldn't even deliver.
Oops. Oops.
Ooh. Ooh. Anyway, nothing else was said directly to me. But there were a few passive-aggressive remarks. There goes your passive-aggressive.
That's your passive-aggressive.
I support you. Throughout the barbecue. Such as when her husband arrived, name brand in hand, calling him her hero.
Wow.
When the dessert was served, she again made a comment about how it's made with real Cool Whip. I didn't want to make a scene, so I just took it on the chin. When talking to my girlfriend about it later, she said her mom was overdramatic, no kidding. But I should have called her to ask if generic was okay. Or I could have gone to a different store. I asked if there was really a difference, and she said she doesn't know, but it was what I was asked to bring. So I should have communicated better. Again, this all sounds so stupid, but am I the asshole?
Oh,
You see the asshole. I needed something. You brought me something else.
What
do you think?
That's one of those situations where okay, so no, you're not an asshole. No, you're not the asshole for trying your best. You could have done, yes, you could have done better. Yes, you could have called and asked that said, I'm at this store. They don't have Cool Whip. Are you cool with a store brand? Instead of just making that assumption and that judgment call on your own, because obviously there was no benefits to reap for doing so. You were not rewarded for your ingenuity. You were mocked and talked about passive aggressively behind your back to her spouse, who then had to go to the store to get the Cool Whip and become the hero.
The hero
for some Cool Whip.
Cool.
I want to know what that dessert is. That's the question I got to ask. What dessert did you have to put Cool Whip on?
I bet it was good.
I bet it was sound. I bet it was amazing. But and the girlfriend is right in both sentences. Mother definitely overreacted, and you could have made the request and found out if that was okay. Because the mother would have said, no, that's not okay. I need Cool Whip. Then you would have been okay being late to the party, because the mother would have known you were out getting specifically what she asked for. Then you would have been the hero of your story.
Maybe if mom was just passive aggressive, you might have been, like, oh, somebody finally brought it.
Yeah, maybe. I would like to lean. I'm gonna lean on the positive side and say, yeah, mama would have said, if you had communicated that you were going to go to another store and you just didn't show up late with what she asked for, then she would feel maybe not honored, maybe just like that was what you were supposed to have done in the first place. So it may not have been anything, but it definitely would have been on the negative side. She wouldn't have talked bad about you.
So let me tell you what I would have done if this were me.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I'm maybe starting to realize in this one episode, I'm perhaps more passive aggressive than I recognize. Because what I would do is every time I went to their house, I would just bring a dessert with generic Cool Whip on top. Just for my own petty pleasure. Just so that I would know.
You're not passive aggressive, you're petty.
I'm a little bit petty. I mean, is there a difference? I'm a little bit petty. So yes, on the level of 0 to petty, I would probably fall on the more petty side.
See, I would be half petty. Mm-hmm. I would, every time I went over, I'd bring Cool Whip.
Not me.
And she would, every time I get Cool Whip.
Every time I came over, I'd be like, how do you enjoy that whipped topping? Isn't that a delicious whipped topping?
You enjoy the whole whipped topping. So no, so far nobody's been the asshole. There have been assholes in the stories, but the person asking the question has not been an asshole.
And I personally was not trying to prove you wrong. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Let's see.
It's good to know that my cynicism in the beginning is not coming to fruition.
All right, let's try this one. Oh, it's short too. I don't even know if this is a thing. Am I the asshole? I'm sitting at a bar counter at my local breakfast spot. I'm reading the news and enjoying breakfast. The guy sits down next to me and starts to watch YouTube at full volume. Is he watching Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love podcast? First question. I asked him to turn it down, and he does though. But then he gives me a dirty. He does this every single time, and it's annoying. Oh, I guess this is not just a one time. It's not a one-off. He does this every single time. It's annoying. I just want to eat my breakfast in peace and not hear political banter in the morning. Now it just seems like he sits down near me to do this.
Yep.
Those who tell me I should just move, I'm usually here first. And if I see him, then I don't sit near the counter. We get a table. He didn't even ask the question. He just wanted to share what was going on in his life today.
We want to share that there's an asshole in his life.
So there's an asshole. Well, I guess that answers the question. You think that there is an asshole in his
life?
And
is he the asshole for asking somebody to turn down the YouTube? If it happens more than once, that person is obviously the asshole. The other person is obviously the asshole. No, you shouldn't have to move. You shouldn't have to say it more than once because that person is, again, no longer respecting. I think it's hilarious that dude is taking a playbook out of taking a page out of your petty playbook.
Yeah, I'm down for petty.
Yeah, apparently so that other dude that he shows up listening to, and you know that he showed up with, I bet he showed up to the restaurant with the volume at a decent level, sits down and sees the dude over there and then turns it up a little bit.
You know, I'm all for petty, but you know, petty at some point becomes harassing. It becomes, you know, a nuisance. I'm never a fan of anybody becoming a nuisance to another person. I am all for petty. Yeah. And I might do that kind of petty for a day or two. I don't know that I would do it every time I showed up.
Right.
I might do that kind of petty for a day or two if somebody is, you know, asking me to do something I don't want to do.
Right.
Even if it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you just kind of, you know, want people to mind it.
I tell you what, you want to shock him, you want to really surprise him. Run to the 99-cent store and buy a pack of headphones. And the next time you go and he shows up with the volume too loud, just slide the pack right on over to it.
Yeah, but you know, that's a level of pay that requires I actually give money to a stranger.
I'm just saying.
I'm not doing it.
I'm just saying. It costs you $1 just to make that statement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to try another one?
All right, we got time. I think we got time for one more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a long one. Okay, I don't know what this is about, but it's a mid-range one.
Okay.
Here we go. 40 female. I have a daughter, Caroline. In quotes. 17-year-old female.
Sweet Caroline.
My brother Adam, 34-year-old male, is married and has 2 kids under the age of 5.
Is Adam also in quotes?
Yes.
Okay. I just think it'd be very funny if one name was in quotes and the other wasn't.
These are all
yes.
Adam's probably named Zeke. All right. Back when I was in my 20s, our great-grandmother ended with an illness which required someone to take care of her. This ended up being me, as everyone else was busy with their lives, and I had only recently graduated from university back then. Due to this, when she passed away, I inherited the house she lived in, which was a small 2-bedroom. I have lived there until I got married, and me and my husband ended up moving to a bigger property. About a year later, my brother asked if I'm willing to rent it out to him, which I agreed to do.
Nice.
But warned him that I will need it back when Caroline turns 18. She was 3 at the time.
Okay, so that's a 15-year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Since it's very close to universities and the city center. The legal agreement was drafted for the rent, specifically below market value, so everything was followed by the book. About a year ago, I informed my brother about needing the house back, as my daughter is going to be 18, and I would like to have some repairs done before she moves in.
Mm-hmm.
My brother ignored me. So I have issued him a notice to vacate. Oh, that. which was also ignored. As he continued to ignore me, I had no choice but to apply for a court order to evict him, with hearing taking place last month. Last week, him and his family were officially evicted. Upon getting into the house, I have noticed it was in horrible condition, and it would take a few months just to make it somewhat habitable, let alone do redecorating or repairs. I have raised this with my brother, since he was meant to look after the house and let me know of any repairs. But this talk ended up in an argument where I was called an asshole for evicting him and his family, so that my spoiled daughter can live by herself and not give them enough notice. They had just over a year to find something suitable.
Not enough notice. They have 15 years.
He also said I have inherited the house by cheating. My parents are on his side, since Adam and his family live with them.
Wow.
That was a little deeper than I thought it was going to be. All right, so what are your thoughts? Come on, give us some sage advice. What would you advise in this situation?
Without knowing any details, it does seem like And I don't know how many times he ignored her phone calls and her efforts to reach out.
You have to get evicted.
But it did seem to go from contact to talk about it to court paperwork.
Well, I mean, you got told at least twice.
Quickly.
You got some court paperwork. So you got told at least twice. Once when you got served, or the first when you got the notice. This got served.
And probably well beforehand. I'm pretty sure there was some heated arguments where like, look, I'm going to have to call a lawyer if you don't we follow what we talked about 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. We said 15 years ago. You agreed to it 15 years ago. You signed paperwork to the effect 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. So now that 15 years has passed, you've had plenty of time to get ready. Yep. You had year 13 or 14 to start finding. You had all that time to start finding no place for yourself. And, you knew the house was temporary. I know that seemed like a long time, and maybe he was hopeful that her things would change or the daughter would want to go elsewhere for school and not live close. But no, I don't think you're an asshole for evicting your brother and his family.
Yeah, I don't think you're an asshole.
I think he's an asshole for making you do it.
Yeah.
For taking it to that level.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet if communication, if he was like, okay, I need some time to get things together and what have you, let's work an arrangement where I will actively seek other housing. If there was some communication back and forth, then you wouldn't have had to go the lawyer route. But I think because he ghosted you and ignored you, it did force your hand to take legal action, and legal action against families sucks. Having gone through it in our family, it just sucks. Yeah. It's never a good feeling. It's a lose-lose situation. Nobody comes out happy on the end. Things are tainted. The houses is issues, and they feel slighted. It's just a whole lot of ick. Mm-hmm. Just a whole lot of ick.
Yeah, tons of it. I agree. Nothing to add. No notes.
Yeah.
You want to do one last one?
Sure.
All right. So this is a longer one. Again. Woo! I think this is going to be kind of in our wheelhouse.
Hold on a second. Alexa, stop.
This is going to be in our wheelhouse. You ready? My 36 female, I'm a 36 female, and my husband, 39 male, Eric, have been living separated for 2 months. This is in our wheelhouse. Here we go. I remain at our house with our 2 daughters, a 7-year-old female and a 5-year-old female, and he has been staying with a friend. He still sees the girls regularly, of course, so we have a fairly high amount of contact with each other, but we basically don't talk about anything besides our daughters. Our agreement is to talk about our future after 3 months of trial separation, so it's coming up in a month. The issue started because my former classmate, Aaron, whom I met again in a dinner we had a few weeks ago with a group of friends from our high school days. It was kind of like an informal reunion, and I only went because my friend Stacy insisted. Aaron and I were never super close. I maybe see where this is going or anything, but I remember him well. He was known as a big-time player on the school's basketball team. He works as an agent for athletes and is clearly wealthy.
There does seem quite a bit of extra painting of the picture.
Yeah, there's a little extra
to give a little extra context.
You ready? Here's some more context. Mm-hmm. We didn't actually talk much during the dinner, but before we left, he asked for my number. I assumed it was just a courtesy and was surprised when he actually called me to ask me out a few days later. Part of Eric's idea was for our trial separation. Part of Eric's idea, that's her husband, for our trial separation was that we would be able to see other people, but I had told Eric that I wasn't going to. Nevertheless, Aaron's invitation was flattering, and just going on a date was promised. I wasn't going to tell Eric about it, of course.
Is just going on a date ever harmless?
Yeah, sure it is. I told him I was going to go out with Stacy and let him stay at the house to take care of the girls. He also had to finish unclogging the kitchen sink. Oh, that's a detail that just I don't know why that hits me. I talked to Stacy, letting her know about the lie. The date with Aaron was sensational. We went to a very expensive restaurant, and he was a total gentleman. We didn't do anything more, but he told me he intended to pursue me further if I were interested.
Mm-hmm. I plan to court you, my lady.
I plan to court you, my lady. Take you away on my chariot of gold. When I arrived home, the girls were asleep, of course. But Eric confronted me, saying he talked to Stacy's husband, and he had unintentionally exposed our lies. Eric suspected I was going to see a man because of my clothes and makeup. Baby, why is your booty hanging out to go see your sister?
Why you put on your lipstick and your eyelashes and your blush? Why you smell so good?
Why you got on your good wig?
That ain't your hanging out with Stacy wig.
That's your Sunday wig. All right. I didn't deny it and argued that I was allowed because of our separation. He said that wasn't the case. This is very Ross and Rachel. We were on a break.
Really much so.
Because I had rejected that possibility when he suggested it. I asked if he had been with other women these months, and he didn't respond.
Because the answer is yes.
We argued, or maybe because the answer is no. Sometimes that often happens. Men often have less opportunity, actually.
It makes sense.
Just thought. So maybe he didn't want to respond. So he'd be like, I'm getting some nookie too.
I'm not getting nothing.
I'm also getting nookie. So much nookie. I can't hold all this nookie. Anyway. I asked if he had been with other women, and he did not respond. We argued for hours, and he ended up crying. I make him leave so he wouldn't wake up the girls. I don't think I did anything wrong by going out on a date. Get out of here.
Get your crying ass out this house.
Rude. I don't think anything wrong by going on the date, but I do feel that maybe I shouldn't have lied about it. Am I the asshole?
Yes. Yeah. Finally, we get a yes to that question. And it's not, you're not an asshole for going on the date. Mm-hmm. You're not an asshole for changing your mind about seeing people. You're an asshole because you lied about it. Mm-hmm. Like if you'd just been open and honest, no, you definitely would not have been an asshole whatsoever. But because you lied about it and then got exposed to the lie, like what you arguing about? What you arguing for hours for? You know, what you bringing that man to tears for?
Yeah. Well, you know, I tell you what, in every relationship structure that I work with a lot of different kinds of relationships, y'all. I work with non-traditional relationships. I work with folks in open marriages. I work with folks who do sex work as a living and have long-term intimate partnerships with folks. And always, it's never about the act. It's always about the cover-up.
Right.
It's always about the cover-up. Even if the act itself is okay within the context of the relationship. And here it sounds like it possibly could have been okay within the context of where the relationship was today. When you lie about it, you take it out of the realm of something that is a shared experience. And then it becomes a unilateral experience. And if you want it to be a unilateral experience because you're separated, fantastic. You're not the asshole. But you indicated that you're trying to work on this with your partner and that you've given your partner a different idea. If I don't care whether my partner is around or not, like get your crying ass out of here. I don't want to see you no more anyway. Boom, do what you did. Right? But if I do care about this person and I want to have a reasonable relationship with this person, I don't have to tell them everything I'm doing, but I probably shouldn't lie. Shouldn't lie. So yeah, just a thought, try not to lie, y'all.
Try not to lie. That's a good.
And if you do, just do it passively aggressive.
Or just be petty about it.
Just be real petty about it.
You know.
Just be like, you know, every time I go, I'm gonna send you a random dick pic, just so you can wonder.
I'm gonna send you, but I'm gonna cover it in some whipped topping.
And then I'm gonna sell the mortgage.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So there you go, folks.
Am I the
Sometimes
asshole?
you are. Sometimes, a lot of times you're not.
We did finally find the asshole.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
We found the asshole. Apparently, the asshole was me because I am very petty. Super petty. So if you're looking for "Am I the asshole?" the answer is vanilla. Yeah. But I think that.
Yeah, I don't think you're an asshole, but still.
Unfortunately, I don't have any reason to be an asshole. I don't have any reason to be petty to people like this. So all of this really in my mind. If I had the opportunity to be this petty,
right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have no friends.
Well, thank you very much to Reddit for providing such wonderful questions. Listeners, let us know if this is something you like us doing. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying this a lot. This is a great way to take these, and so yeah, we'll throw these in the mix from time to time.
You can ask me. You can choose the question.
There you go.
Now it's going to be much more serious. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Well, maybe it won't be. Apparently, I'm very petty, so who knows? You might get an entire episode of Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Petty Podcast. We'll see.
But be sure to do all the things like, share, subscribe to the podcast if you're not already doing so.
Thank you so much for listening.
We appreciate you tuning in. Share this with people. If you think other people would enjoy this type of content in a podcast, share it with as many people as you like.
And if you are the asshole, or you're wondering if you're the asshole, go on ahead and tell us the story. I want to know. Is somebody being a petty bitch in your life? Is somebody like causing problems? Are you being an asshole and you want to make sure that you stop being an asshole? Whatever it is, don't wait for Reddit.
Yeah, if you have your own personal "Am I the asshole" story or question, hit us up. I'll tell you directly, even if I know you and love you. I'll tell you immediately if you are the asshole. But we appreciate it. Feel free to swing over to our Patreon and subscribe to the podcast at Rainbow Dreamcatcher, thelovepodcast.com. If you want to talk to us individually, you can hit us up on Instagram.
Sorry, y'all, my mouth just fell open because I found a question. I don't know if we're going to do it now or later, but I just have to say the question because I just think it fits. It's a perfect button. Am I the asshole? You ready? Am I the asshole for telling my paternal grandparents to fuck off? Stop trying to make my mom responsible for their son's kid.
Yes. Damn, that's done a whole lot of fun. Yes. We may have to revisit that one later.
Yes.
But I say, are you the asshole for telling your grandparents to fuck off?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
I mean, hard stop. Yeah.
Full stop. I mean, I don't have to read the rest. There's probably like a 15-page explanation.
There's no reason.
Ain't no reason
to tell them to fuck off.
I can't say no reason. I don't know what they did to you, but like it would have to be so extreme.
Fair.
It would have to be so extreme.
Yeah, it had. Yeah, but still, even the idea of it to tell your mama's parents fuck off.
No.
Yeah.
No, my stomach hurts even thinking about it.
Yeah, right. Well, we thank y'all for listening. Hit us up. And this has been Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast.
Bye-bye. Artlist